Big shout out to Bean Working Espresso down in Skyring Terrace, Newstead.
Best coffee in the game.
Best absolute coffee in the game. Hooking the Platform podcast, and any listeners up with a 10% discount.
Shout out.
Shout out to Yolanda.
Yolanda.
That was a mouthful.
Their coffee's real fucking good. Get
Best coffee in the game, by far. Just opened up Skyring Terrace. You can order ahead and mention the Platform podcast for a 10% discount. This is the Platform podcast with B-Bad and Brandon. That's a good intro there. Just keep doing it. Just do it the whole time. This whole podcast will have an undertone of Johnny just going, ooh. It's just some ambient noise in the background.
You can fall asleep to that.
It's like the Simpsons episode where Homer makes noises for Marge, like soothing ocean noise, and they start off really nice, and then he's like, ooh.
You need a minute?
I fucking love that episode because then he's just like making the seagulls and he's like, ah!
Nice, peaceful sounds.
Good start, lads. Welcome to the Platform podcast. We have a very well-known guest. He's been called the Da Vinci of the dietitian world. Aidan the dietitian. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
No worries. It's
The Da Vinci.
the Da Vinci of the dietitian world. I know.
Never heard that one before. I like it. It's good.
Thank you. I did just make it up. But hey, I was like, yeah, the Da Vinci. So, we got our first big question of the podcast. And now as an advert listener, not like some other people we know, Matt Goyle. But
Sorry, Matt.
who's Matt? Do you know that Matt
I
fella?
don't know. I've never met a Matt.
No.
I don't know any Matts.
We only talk to Matts who listen to our podcast.
Correct.
Like Matt Senzel. Shout out.
Shout out. Whoop.
Anyways, first big question.
Are you ready?
Are you?
Are you ready?
What's the question?
What we're about to tell you.
Yeah, just, dude, slow down. We're building it up.
You got to build the hype to create the anxiety.
Aidan, 21 words. Who you are and what you do. Not yet. We're going to count all the sounds you make.
And every
you
breath
ready?
you take. I'll
No
be
more
watching
than 21. Go.
I'm Aidan Muir, good dietitian, mediocre powerlifter. I also play basketball, guitar, game occasionally, and I'm an overall happy person.
That's 21 exactly.
Nailed it.
That was like legit the best.
Better than Luke Polly?
Anyone's better than Luke Polly. Shout out Luke Polly.
Poor Luke.
Guitar.
Yeah, I've been playing for years. Like, I don't play a whole lot now, but like I've been playing since I was like
Really?
in year 9 or
What
something
kind
like
of
that.
guitar?
I play on a $50 acoustic guitar that I bought in year 9, so like
He's still playing on that.
still playing on that, haven't got a new one, yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I'm a little offended that you didn't bring it in to serenade us with. Like, we have a beatboxer, a resident platform singer, which is me, for those listening. I'm pointing to myself. I'm really offended you haven't brought that in.
Bit of a secret talent. It's nothing special, but
Do you pull it out at parties?
if I get requested to.
Special someone comes around the house. So,
Oh,
what's that in the
always.
corner?
Always.
Hey! Oh, let me just grab that for you.
Oh, look what I left laying out there. Damn.
There you go.
Let's
That's
go to.
sick.
Yeah.
And you still play basketball?
Still play basketball, I try.
Hoop dreams.
Well, he's really good, as we know.
I'm all right. I've got, as you know, the injury at the moment, which has been a bit crippling.
You have been dealing with this knee, tendinopathy.
Tendinopathy, yeah, patella tendinopathy. So that's mostly caused by the basketball, but like really hampers the basketball as well. But I do like playing still.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
How
like-
often do you still playing at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm playing once per week at the moment. I'm trying to get down to as low as possible while still enjoying it.
Yep.
At my peak, I was probably playing 4 times a week, I'd say.
sick.
Yeah, while also trying to powerlift as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those
cool.
two don't necessarily go together.
Can you
as
dunk
we've-
it?
I could before the injury. I've tried since and hasn't gone as well.
Bullshit.
Yeah, we've slowly built up Aidan to playing time again, and Now that comp's coming closer and closer, we'll dial back the basketball as it gets in a bit closer.
Yeah, it's a game plan.
Fuck yeah. And you're not that mediocre, I'm going to just point out. Like, we were just talking before about a rep PR today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 190 for 4 on deadlifts. I'd like to be better, but
Now
We
this
all
is going
wanna
to
be
come
better.
out like in a couple of weeks, which means you'll hit another rep PR.
oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah,
No, you will,
I will. Yeah,
because I programmed it.
So you got a comp coming up as well?
yeah. So I'm going to do Spring Cup at Valhalla
Sick.
November 11th, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. November 11th.
It's Remembrance Day, that's why it's so significant. Yeah. I got you.
When's your comp?
15th. I think you got the date.
Yeah, I probably got the date wrong. Yeah,
It's November
comp?
8th.
November
It's
8th. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Different comp.
Different comp. So his is the Novice Spring
Yeah,
Cup.
just Novice Cup. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Fucking
so-
had a panic attack. So I don't have the 11th off.
Yeah, that's a Wednesday.
yeah. I cooked that.
Way to panic everyone here. Anyways, so yes, you are the Da Vinci dietitian. Can you change your Instagram to that?
Nah, I kind of like Aidan the dietitian.
Yeah, but Da Vinci dietitian.
I've thought of like the other one people have hit me up on is Aidan the influencer, just to troll people a little bit. I'd probably go that over the Da Vinci of
Do you do a little
dietetics.
trolling?
I used to be more about it. As I've gotten more followers, I've kind of died down a little bit. Like, it used to be funny when I had like 2,000 followers and be like, oh, I'm an influencer and like talk shit basically.
Yep.
But now I've got more followers. I'm like, people probably think I'm serious. Like, they think I'm just like an arrogant cunt basically.
And then they meet you and you're like, this doesn't match. He's like too nice. What?
Because I have gotten that bit. I have gotten like random like Instagram people like hitting me up and saying that, like, that they think I'm arrogant. Yeah. Yeah, real weird, but yeah.
From your Instagram,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like just like Saturday Q&A and stuff like that. Like,
your Q&As are the best. They're absolutely like, but you know, I first met you a couple of years ago, just kind of when you were like beginning your journey into the dietitian world.
yeah.
And you started off with, a couple of followers, and you post a Q&A and you get maybe 1 or 2 questions, whatever it was. And obviously it's not all about the Instagram following, but you have a really solid following now. Like, your Instagram's blowing up, you get hit with all these questions all the time. You're on a podcast at least, I swear, once a week.
Yeah, it's getting close to that point. Yeah.
It's fucking sick to see, man. Like, what have you attributed to that sort of, I guess, success in that way? Like, it's not, I know it's not how we measure it, but
Yeah.
you've had a lot of good come your way from it.
I suppose a lot of it like just consistent trial and error. Like, that's been the thing. Like, I'm not proud of saying it, but at my peak, I was on Instagram about 20 hours per week.
Holy
Like, just spending so long on it, just grinding away at it. Even in terms of like getting my name out in the powerlifting world, like I would just follow, it's kind of creepy, but I'd follow like random powerlifters who I'd never even met. And
Yeah.
like 20% of them would follow me back. But I mean, when I'd like make content, it would be powerlifters sharing my content rather than like other dietitians and stuff like that. I think that was the biggest thing for growth. And then the other thing is like, I see so many people go like really hard at it for like 4 weeks and then not get much traction. And then they just stop. Whereas I've tried to do Instagram stuff for other businesses using some of my best content and it gets no engagement for like multiple weeks. It just takes like a long time to build that kind of following and trust, I guess,
Yep.
in an audience that actually resonates with them, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It's a good way to get involved though. Like, you put out good content.
And the way I thought about it is like, it's easier than an honest day's work. Like, it's kind of like I have worked other jobs and I'm like, it kind of dawned on me that like it's easier to spend, say, that 20 hours per week on Instagram, not that I do that anymore, but like at my peak, than it is to actually do 20 hours of seeing clients, like, because that's pretty draining, or like 20 hours of doing any form of manual labor, because I have done a few jobs like that in the past as well. It's the easiest way I can think, basically.
Yeah, fuck. That's actually a very good way to think about it. I didn't even think of that.
So how long you been in the game for now?
So I've been a dietitian for about 4 years now, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Fuck, then it's a bit of a process to become the fully accredited dietitian, because you got to do like placements in hospitals.
Yeah. So 4 years of university and so 20 weeks of placement in the final year. And like, speaking of that, like I hated hospital placements. Like I never wanted to be in a hospital. I didn't really like the environment. So like that kind of stuff was a grind for sure.
Fuck, 20 weeks.
Yeah, and like I know there's been other guests on here who talked about it, but like it's unpaid.
Yeah.
So it's 20 weeks of unpaid placement. And like, because I was like paying my own way through uni, like I didn't have to do this work, but like there was a few weekends I'd work 24 hours on the weekend. So 2 12-hour shifts on the weekend and then go straight back to placement. And like that was definitely a struggle.
How would you like function as a human being?
I got sick on one of my placements, and like I attribute it to this. Like I had to miss some days just because I just felt sick. I was just like really run down. So yeah,
20 weeks straight.
yeah.
That's actually is.
But you've done your apprenticeship essentially,
Yeah.
and you've done the hard work to kind of be where you're at today.
Yeah, and I even think more than that is like probably like the first 6 months of being a dietitian is what like I'd really consider the apprenticeship. Like especially because I had a phase where I was seeing like a lot of clients, and it was super overwhelming. Like I think most people who go into dietetics and see a lot of clients right off the bat start hating dietetics within that 6 month span, but like it just gets better once you get that rhythm. You no longer have to, every time you see someone with a condition you've never encountered, you
Yep.
don't have to spend time reading about it because you've already done that. You've done
Yep.
that work. That's just the hard part at the start.
Do you have touching on with the conditions aspect? Like, do you have a bit of a niche now, or do you still get random like cases every now and then? You're like, what the fuck?
I get everything. So like I do like working with powerlifters. I like working with strength athletes, but even in there, like people still have conditions in there. But I also, because I work with a gym chain that so the gym chain's Hit Station, but like I do gym challenges with them, and they only send me people with medical conditions, so that way they can accept everybody into their gym challenges. So that way, like I'm pretty much guaranteed to be getting some weird cases and stuff like that, which is always interesting. Like it's good to have that challenge.
That'd be quite challenging. Keep it exciting. Keep you on your toes.
100%, yeah. Because like as much as I love powerlifting, like I've always decided that's why I haven't like niched down in terms of like making my Instagram handle like powerlifting dietitian or something like that. Because like I love it, but it's routine. It's just the same stuff over and over and over and over. Yeah.
Absolutely. What's the weirdest case? I'm sorry, I have to ask.
Oh, weirdest case. This one's not a medical condition. The weirdest client that comes to my mind.
Cane Shepherd?
If only. No, the weirdest client that comes to my mind. She used to drink 16 litres of Coke a day. And like, I'm a pretty like, I don't know, I'm not an emotional person. Like I'm pretty emotionless. Like people say stuff to me and like, it just like, I don't judge people or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever had a reaction to someone telling me what they did. And I was like, are you serious? Like that's a lot of liquid. Like how is this like?
Sorry, 16 litres.
16 litres. And like, I broke it down. I was like, do you mean like 8 2-litre bottles of Coke? And she's like, yeah, that's what I do.
Per day.
Yeah, and she only had 1 tooth left, which is a bit of like confirmation of how much sugar she was having. Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, insane. Like, and
Sorry, did she just not have false teeth? Did she not get the others?
yeah, no, she didn't. She didn't, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why. I don't know the question.
What do you do with someone like that? Say, hey, let's take it down to 12 and then we'll crank
So
it.
this was while I was on placement,
Yeah.
and she had just stopped that before seeing me.
Oh, yeah.
And like replaced it with, I think it was like Mentos, but she was just having like a massive amount. Like it was just like non-stop Mentos basically, or Mentos, however you say it. Yeah.
Fuck. What?
And like I was on placement, so like
all the residual Coke in a gut.
Yeah.
Mentos going, it's just exploding.
I didn't think about that. The other thing I was like, is like, that's a lot of caffeine too. Like to go like from 16 litres to 0. It's like, how do you do that? Like, I don't know. She said she didn't even get like headaches or anything like that.
Wow.
So like, that's part of why I was questioning it, but like, it's still lined up.
Fuck, I've water loaded once and done, 8 or 10 litres. Fuck, you feel fucked. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
How the fuck do you fit another 6 in?
Yeah.
I'm not, but like
Wow.
Coke.
Yeah.
Like that's fizzy, that's
Wow.
thick.
Everyone's got a thing, eh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well.
man.
Yeah. And like,
That's-
because I was on placement, I wasn't super confident, so I didn't like, I didn't really do much with it. Like, I
Yeah.
just tried to get it eating some vegetables and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it was like, let's get a proper meal in here. Like,
let's
that's
get
all I was
some-
thinking.
So wait, sorry, that's all she ate.
She was like having some other stuff, but like, it was like,
How many calories you reckon that is?
I did the maths on it at the time. I can't remember now. Like, I wouldn't want to try and
fuck ton,
guess, but
wouldn't
it is a lot. Like, she was like pretty
I'm
overweight
fucking-
as well.
I need to work this out. That's actually, I don't even know how I'd find that.
So 600 ml of Coke's got 60 grams of sugar. So 1 litre's got 100 grams of sugar, and sugar's got 4 calories per gram.
Yeah, so 4 by what? 4
Wait,
by
let me do the
100.
maths again. 100.
4 by 100.
Yeah.
That's
So
400.
1 litre of Coke would be 400 calories. So times that by 16.
That's 6,400 calories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of
So
Coke.
I can't imagine she was consistently doing that every day. Like, I reckon that's like her exaggeration. That's like the top end. Like, she had done that at some times. But like, yeah, that was a shocking case. Yeah.
That's fucked. I mean, as you said, I shouldn't react, but like,
Yeah. Like, that's the only time I've ever reacted. Like, every time like somebody like tells me like they're pretty good diet, and then they're like, oh, don't judge me, but I have like a bit of chocolate every night. I'm like, I don't care. Like,
Everyone, just want to point out Aidan ate a cookie before this.
That means it's dietitian approved.
100%. Cookies are now dietitian approved.
bulking.
Da Vinci said it. Oh man, that's insane.
So you clients you see these days, like you said, powerlifting, but it's broad though as well. Everyone's kind of still coming to see you.
Yeah, everyone's coming to see me. Like it's mostly either through Instagram or coaches referring to me. And like through Instagram, I can get anything. But like the thing I like about it now is like they have chosen to see me versus just being like a GP's been like, I'll go see a dietitian. But like even with Instagram, I can get like anything basically. Like someone just sees my stories and they're like, oh, he seems to know a lot. I'll go see him basically.
Yep. Yeah, sweet. And how do people see you these days? What's
So about 70% is online, so I just do Zoom consults. And like because like I don't do skin folds or anything anymore, so like literally anything I do with somebody in person is the same as when I do with someone online. So like it's no different. So 70% is online, and then 30% is just out of Valhalla.
Yeah, sweet.
Shout out Valhalla.
Shout out Valhalla.
Owned by some Matt guy.
Matt, I don't know.
I don't
Matt's
know his name anymore. It's forgotten me.
I know Scotty owned it.
Scott, yeah, he was on the podcast.
He was on it.
Was a good...
And I remember he said he listened to our podcast a lot, and then someone else has it. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. The name's just gone over my head. But you've created a bit of a name for yourself in the dietitian world, and especially around why I wanted to get you on as well, the diet break. Now, that's something that I've been in this industry, I'm old, 10 years now, and it's not something that's commonly spoken about, commonly heard, and I've pretty much never heard of it until you started speaking about it. What is it? What's the purpose of it? What's the benefit?
So I'll start out with background firstly around like refeed days and like cheat meals, just to like provide context. So like one of the reasons people first started like really pushing refeed days and cheat meals beyond just like the mental break from dieting was on the belief that it would kind of speed up your metabolism a little bit. Therefore, like if we're talking like if you want to be dieting, you need to be below your maintenance calories or your total daily energy expenditure to be specific. You need a calorie deficit. So if you could speed up your metabolism, it would make it easier to diet. The other thing is, in short-term studies, it's got implications for our hunger hormones. So looking at stuff like ghrelin, leptin, CCK, going into details if I go down that route. But with like a 1 day or a 1 meal kind of thing, it's a really acute spike in these like hormones, or really acute change in these hormones, really short-term. Doesn't actually carry over to the week or the month. And like it doesn't really help what you're trying to achieve beyond just that mental break. 2 day refeeds, like that's slightly longer time frame, seems to get the job done pretty well as well. But the route I prefer to go is a diet break. So the first study I ever saw on diet breaks was done in 2017, which is why it's pretty recent. So it's called the Matador study, where basically they did 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, where they would be at a decent sized calorie deficit for 2 weeks, and then they'd spend 2 weeks at maintenance. And they just compared that to a group that dieted for 16 weeks straight. In terms of outcomes, because they both actually spent 16 weeks in the calorie deficit, they lost more total body weight in the diet break one, and they maintained a little bit more lean mass. They obviously weren't as hungry either. And like theoretically, it should help speed up, so to speak, speed up your metabolism, or I prefer to say increase your total daily energy expenditure, because when you're dieting for a long period of time, your NEAT decreases. So like I'd call that your incidental movement. Like for example, I'm talking with my hands right now. That literally burns calories. If you look at, say, a bodybuilder at the end of their prep, they are super still. They are not moving very much when they're talking. They're burning less calories just through fidgeting. That's like an extreme example of it. But you put someone in a calorie deficit, they start moving less. If they're not tracking their daily steps are probably going to decrease. It's just a natural adaptation. There's a few other things going on there, like, for example, your heart rate slows down a little bit as well. Like, that burns calories. Like, even breathing burns calories. Little things like that change over time as you're in a calorie deficit. So in amongst all of those things, if you add in periods where you're eating at maintenance calories, it should increase your total daily energy expenditure a little bit because you've added more calories in. Metabolic adaptation goes both ways. If you give somebody a calorie surplus, they move more naturally, they fidget more. And it's been pretty well documented in research that like some people actually fidget more than others in response to a calorie deficit or calorie surplus. So basically the thought process is you diet for 2 weeks, then you have 2 weeks of diet break. It could be even longer. Like I prefer with my clients to do, say, 8-week blocks of dieting and then chucking in a diet break because I think it's too long the other way. But the thought process is you add that in, that increases total daily energy expenditure, makes it easier to remain in a calorie deficit. And then on top of that, it also helps from that hunger hormones perspective because leptin is going to increase, making people feel fuller. Ghrelin is going to decrease, making people also making people feel fuller. And then even just from the other kind of standpoint is that mental perspective. Like if you know you've got a diet break coming in 2 weeks, it is so much easier to stick to the diet, is how I think, versus if you've got a lot of weight to lose and you're looking at like 20 weeks uninterrupted, it's a lot harder to stick to it, is how I think about it. And then the other thing particularly is because a lot of people regain weight. Like statistically, like it's at least 80% from what I can tell of people regaining weight. Obviously with better interventions, like better nutritional strategies, that's less likely to happen. But I think a decent part of that is because, or a small part of that is because people are in a calorie deficit, they have a certain mindset, and the moment they go to maintenance calories, it's like you let a dog off the leash. Like when it's on the leash, it's just like walking by your side really calm.
As soon as the diet's over, it's like, let's fucking go get pizza.
Yeah, it's a completely different mindset to be trying to eat in like a deficit to eating at maintenance. This gives like you a chance to eat at maintenance, experience that on the way down. So it's not like you've gone, say, 20 weeks without eating at maintenance calories by the time the time comes, is how I think.
So at maintenance, they're still essentially on some sort of plan. It's not like a, righto, fucking, here we go.
Yeah, so it's down to...
Or it is.
It's down to how you want to do it. So, like, in the studies, it is very much like that. It's very structured. It's very controlled because that's the best way to study things, basically. With my clients... That's the goal. Like I give them a meal plan that fits that kind of mold, but I also let them be a little bit more flexible in terms of like, if you're going to go a little bit off the plan, these are the 2 weeks to do it. Like for example, I don't have many clients track calories, but if I do have somebody who's tracking calories, I'm like, hey, maybe for these 2 weeks, don't worry about tracking it as strictly or at all for a couple of days, just to give a little bit of that mental break to then set them up. Because that's the other kind of perspective. As much as I'm talking about total daily energy expenditure and also hunger and stuff like that, you could almost attribute these like better results in these studies I've been looking at just to better compliance, just to people actually sticking to the plan
100%.
better on the dieting weeks.
They know they have those breaks coming up and stuff like that.
100%.
It'd make compliance so much easier, and it just give you a break because like dieting's hard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like trying to battle hunger is hard.
Yeah. And like everybody, if you're in a calorie deficit for a long period of time, like even if you're doing it well, you're going to get hungry at some stage. Like you'd have to be a massive outlier not to.
Because you got the breaks there, does that mean you can go a little harder on the deficit as well?
Yeah, for sure.
With some people? Or
For sure. Like it definitely can. And like even using like those refeed, like the 2-day refeed studies I was kind of talking about, with them, they're comparing like a 25% deficit 7 days per week to a 35% deficit 5 days of the week where the refeed is then at like maintenance calories.
Yep.
So like you definitely can. And like in that example that I just talked about, it's a study by Bill Campbell, if anyone wanted to look it up. It's like a 35% deficit. Even though it's a bigger deficit for those 5 days, they maintain more muscle mass.
Yeah, right.
So like you can go a little bit harder.
Yep. Yeah, sweet.
Wow.
And you're probably mentally prepared to go a little harder, knowing that in, like you said, end of that week or whatever, you're like, fuck, all right, it's coming. I've just got to do my time this 5 days.
For sure, yeah.
And again, then coming back off the end of that, like I can imagine, as you said before, like 20 weeks of straight dieting, you're going to feel real shit for that whole 20 weeks. And that as soon as you, like, we see it all the time, people diet and then they regain all that weight.
100%,
like,
yeah.
And it's a shocking statistic that 80% of people regain that weight.
Some people say it's even higher. Like there's literally amongst dietetics, it's hard to say because some people might be more vocal than others, but like I'd say it's probably about 50% of dietitians. Like if somebody thinks I'm wrong with this, that's okay. But I think it's about 50% of dietitians are in the camp of like what you call non-diet dietitians, where they're not actively striving for weight loss because the statistics are so poor. Some people in that kind of community reckon that the numbers as high as 95% of people regain weight. And when you look at those kind of statistics, it's like, is it even worthwhile pursuing weight loss if the statistics are that poor? Like, I think amongst like strength athletes in particular, the statistics probably are a lot better in terms of the fact that they've got lifting, they've got some structured exercise and stuff like that. But like across the general population, the statistics are pretty poor.
Yeah, because I feel like people go like really hard with their whole diet, and they also couple that with like really hard training for that period of time. And then as soon as the diet's like, it's like letting off a dog off a leash, except you go really hard on the diet, but then pull back your training as well, and that doesn't necessarily change.
100%, yeah. And like the big thing I've always felt is like, there's so many ways people could diet better to set themselves up for that. But as much as I'm sitting here and saying that, like if you actually look at like peer-reviewed research, there is no study, like no large-scale study showing that 5 years down the line or whatever, even like 3 years down the line, people on average have lost a significant amount of weight. Like in pretty much every study, even if they've got dietitians involved or not involved, people do regain weight on average. I still like, I know personally my statistics are good in that very few people regain weight. But it's just like, it's hard to get an intervention across the board that works.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, but I feel like the information that you said just then, like it seems like it's creating a better environment for people to lose weight.
100%.
Like it needs to be spread across the board. Like it should become like an industry standard almost.
Yeah, I view it as one option. The other option I view it is like, I think it is something that should definitely be encouraged, but also just like individual strategies as well. Like some people like don't do well on it. Like I've had one client out of all the people I've used it with, but one client that comes to mind who like when they got onto the diet break, that was when they didn't get back on track after that. They just kept eating like that afterwards. That raises a whole other question though. Like if you can't eat at maintenance calories for 2 weeks, what was going to happen when you get to your goal anyway?
Yeah.
But like in some cases, I don't think it's the best strategy. So like there is a few other ways you can go about it too.
And what other strategies do you implement?
Once again, it just depends on the person. But for some people, like it could be best just to like stick in the calorie deficit if that's working well. Like one of the things I do now is I pretty much just across the board, I do every 8 weeks, I do a diet break. But before, like I used to just think about it in terms of like, I'll just wait until it's necessary, kind of like lifting, like with a deload and stuff like that. Like if somebody's crushing it, like they don't feel fatigued, all their lifts are going up, like sometimes it doesn't make sense to do a deload. Like something like that. Like if somebody's like doing really well, like it might not make sense to do it.
Yeah. And then flipping that, like obviously this is specific to weight loss, but what about someone in a calorie surplus? Are you more likely to give them a diet break as well?
Yeah. Did you give them a diet break? Because I've done some weight gain stuff.
We can tell.
Yeah. Sometimes
That bench can tell.
I know for me personally, I enjoy a day where I don't eat as much.
Yeah.
Just because eating so much becomes a fucking chore.
What I did in my last training block and was actually during my deload week, drop back to more maintenance-based calories. Just because obviously my training wasn't as hard.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to fucking force feed.
Yeah. So like I don't have as much thoughts on that, but I do think like it's probably not a bad idea during a deload week, particularly to do it then, like do just 1 week there. I think it's more from a mental perspective, like as someone who's in a similar boat in terms of feeling like having to force feed to gain size, like sometimes it is okay, just like tone it down for 2 weeks, like eat at maintenance calories, prepare yourself. Like if you look at it in terms of everything I just talked about in terms of non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so NEAT, incidental movement, and also those hunger hormones, it literally goes both ways. Like if you are in a calorie surplus for a long period of time, those hunger hormones are going to adapt in a way that makes you feel fuller. Like it's not to the same extent, it's not as hard as when people are dieting, but it still happens. If you do spend 2 weeks or whatever at maintenance calories, that's going to make it easier when you want to go back into a calorie surplus after. But at the other end of the spectrum, like I'm not at the point that I'm implementing that with clients. Like I just keep people in a consistent calorie surplus most of the time. With some people, I'll change it around for their diet break, for their deload weeks. But like with most people, I just keep it very, very consistent across the board.
Yes.
Wow.
What's the most calories you've seen someone eat?
Jane Shepherd.
I like in terms of clients I have worked with, I've had a few. Clint Hall is one of the people that comes to mind. Like the plan I made him was 6,000 calories. And like he got incredible results off that. Like he didn't gain a lot of body fat or anything like that. He stayed lean while doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously like freak outlier there, but like he had great results. Another one, so I worked with New South Wales strongest man, Andrew Fraser. I worked with him for a little bit. I can't remember. I think he was about 5,000 calories as well. Like he was 130 something kilos looking to get up to the 160 kilo mark. And like wanted to stay kind of lean just for health reasons, but that was the only kind of barrier that I can think of. Those are probably two of the higher ones. I think.
Is it as hard to write a program for someone who wants that much food?
Up.
Is it so little? Because you're like,
fuck,
how do I find this person so much food?
Yeah, so like...
Here's some more potato.
Well, especially like let's let's use Clint as an example. I feel like a lot of listeners who would know Clint, like he's been at the top of both powerlifting and Australian bodybuilding. Like, he stepped on stage at Mr. Universe. Like he's world class. Someone with that much muscle mass consumes a lot of calories.
Yeah.
Is it something where you have to just be like this is the range and just go?
To a certain degree, I have a lot more flexibility with stuff like that. But like I'm still a big fan of keeping a calorie surplus in a certain range. Like I don't want it to be too big because people are going to gain more body fat than necessary. Like I still like to keep it within a certain number. And like, if anything, you've got a little bit less leeway in a calorie surplus than a deficit, because you can cut a lot quicker than you can bulk. Like, you can cut quicker and maintain as much muscle mass as possible versus bulking. Like, the moment you get above a certain calorie surplus size, yeah, you might gain a little bit more muscle, but you're going to gain a lot more fat, is how I think about it, which is why the range is a little bit tighter. But yeah, I do think of it in terms of being a little bit more flexible. But the thing that I find really challenging, and it's not just like those two names that came up, but like, a lot of people, like once someone's on over about 4,000 calories, most of those people are going to be struggling to get enough food in. And often they have kind of weird habits to get those foods in as well. Like, a lot of them like might eat a lot of calories before bed. Not a good idea for a lot of powerlifters to get reflux. Like, that's really common once you're over about 120 kilos. Like, it's like that's probably not a great idea. But like, a lot of people have like, or they have like weird shakes, or they have a few like homemade mass gainer shakes or something like that.
What's the weirdest shake you've
I was
ever
going
seen?
to say.
Chuck him under the bus. Brad Bowie from Valhalla, Townsville. He has like olive oil in his shakes.
Oh, Brad.
There's two weirdest shakes I've ever seen.
That one?
No, way weirder than that. That's nothing, bro.
That's...
Nah, that's fucking
Well,
nothing.
hold up. Was it olive oil in like milk and shit?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like,
never
I
done
thought
that?
it was weird.
No.
Nah, that's old. Man, I've seen him done that. No big deal.
No big deal.
Throw some ice cream. Delicious. Pepsi Max and chicken.
That's filth.
I'm fucking done.
Simon Rees, owner ASN. He used to have chicken shakes
This
mixed
podcast
with
just ended. What the fuck?
Pepsi Max. So he wanted...
Lean gains.
And it was no shit, because it's a years old Facebook video. If you're friends with him on Facebook, every now and then you'll see him reshare it. But it was a cooked chicken breast, blended up, and with the Pepsi Max, and then he'd fucking smash it just down the hatch.
Nah, disgusting.
That is disgusting. Like,
That's some nasty
I'll have a
stuff.
Pepsi Max with my chicken breast that's in between a sweet bun from KFC. But I ain't blending that either.
Blaine Sumner did something similar too, with like almost like a chick with a chicken and a soup, almost broth, and he'd blend it up and drink that as well.
I just feel like there's easier ways to get it in.
I agree. I agree. Like,
Just, I mean, I've heard of people making like 1,000 calories. Like, I know Brock Ridsdale, episode from Tradie Special, he made like, Optimum Nutrition Serious Mass.
Yeah.
That's 1,200 calories per serve.
Is it really? Yeah, damn.
Just by itself. And then he had to add things like peanut butter and...
Supercharge.
Yeah, like this thing
Jesus.
was like 1,800 cows plus. He did put on weight, but fuck.
Yeah.
I remember one time I tried having one of those mass gainer shakes and like...
Almost need a spoon.
Well, no, because I made it into like two separate 600 ml things. This is back when I was a young fella. I mean, still relatively am compared to Johnny, but...
Hey.
Two like 600 mils, drunk 1.2 liters of this mass gain. I couldn't move for about an hour because I was like, I'm gonna vomit.
You gotta sit there and process this thing down.
Yeah, fuck, it's just insane.
Yeah.
Olive oil, Brad Bowie, what are you doing?
You never heard that before.
I think it's out of the shake now, but it was in there for a while.
Man,
Has he not heard of coconut
oil?
oil, or was it just because you needed a certain type of fat?
There's a few things. I think one bit of it was like his previous dietitian was pretty big on the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of olive oil in there. It's an easy way to get calories in there. He struggles to get enough calories. So like that was one of the reasons he was putting it in there. Two birds, one stone, yeah.
Why don't you just drink it by yourself?
I like when I was into like when I first started lifting, I was still living at home, and like my parents like didn't give me a lot of access to food, which was one of the issues I had. And I was downing like 60 ml of olive oil per day, just like straight out of the like bottle when I needed to get calories. Yeah,
Aidan, where's the olive oil?
I went from 62 kilos to 82 kilos in 8 months.
Fucking
Like,
built on olive oil.
I thought it was all lean mass too. Like I was like, these are sick gains. Like
I love it when you first start putting on weight. You're like, man, I'm so jacked right now. It's like, then you have a reality check. Oh, I'm fat.
yeah,
Fucking. And as you're currently on the gain train, as we discussed prior to the podcast, what body weight would you like to be at comp?
Without a top.
There's no, well, that's what we discussed. There's no top limit because more is more.
yeah. I'm feeling about 92 to 94 kilos is what I'm thinking. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then after comp,
shred down, get shredded.
to 100
Shredded
kilos.
for summer.
shredded at 100.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if I could get shredded at 100,
You're a
I'd do
tall
it.
guy. How tall are you?
Yeah, like I think from a powerlifting, I'm 6 foot tall. Like from a powerlifting
so-
standpoint, 120s would be the ideal class.
Exactly.
Oh.
Correct. Yes.
You heard it here first.
She's actually the 125s. So
Oh yeah, 125.
So you got to fill that, which means you'll be 130,
30, correct,
and
for
then
the
cut to.
125s, yeah.
I reckon Aidan will look really good at 130.
that's exactly
Yeah,
right. There
I
we go.
don't. Yeah,
See in the
no.
future.
As I was saying, I like basketball. Like even like as someone who's played basketball at 62 kilos and 92 kilos, like I don't use my strength at all in basketball. Like that has not helped my game at all. But like I play so much better at like even like 75 kilos. Like I reckon that's like my prime for basketball.
No. I think Johnny will also agree with a strong.
Yeah,
No.
I'm at 125. Correct.
Yes, yeah, 125. Like,
You can just camp in the fucking key there, mate.
I'm
and
not tall
just
enough for that.
Fucking push them away.
Not tall enough,
You'll be
yeah.
big enough now. They
bro,
won't be
yeah,
able to get
just
near
fucking
you.
elbow someone. I'm all about it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Like, let's just put in perspective. Nick Wilson's 75 kilos.
Correct.
Yeah, he's a lot more jacked than me, but like
He's a lot more jacked than anyone. That guy's a dick. Like, you have too much muscle.
speaking like when he was like because I was seeing him as well. Like I've never seen someone gain muscle that easily and stay lean. Like he was just like when
He's a freak,
powerlifting
eh?
was his focus, which it should be in the future. he was-
Are you calling him out?
I wish I want him to. Yeah,
Okay, you're coming back, Nick. You heard it here first.
yeah. Like yes, so much potential. Hey, like even like something that you said, like you're like, oh, I want him doing 80 kilos at Pro Raw or something like that. Like I think is the next weight class up at 95 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like that's the issue. But I was like, man, he could probably be lean at 95 or like closing in on that.
Could
like,
you imagine Nick Wilson at 95 kilos lean?
beautiful.
It would be
Or
beautiful.
it was 105.
105 with 110 would be brilliant.
You guys need to stop.
What do you mean?
Like 95. Let's work from
But
there.
imagine what he'd bench at 110.
Heaps. Fucking all of it.
He's just got
every one of them.
But like even this morning he came in and he was just training arms. He's so jacked.
Yeah, for someone who's not focused on lifting properly, like these
Yeah,
last
he's
6
been-
months, he's
He's still holding all his muscles same shape. It's just like a little bit smaller.
insane.
I don't understand. Like I reckon he should definitely come back.
I agree.
You know, even if it's under Coach Shepherd.
Even if it's under coach, one of the best coaches in the industry, but yeah, Coach Shepherd.
I really need to
He's
just
got
say,
a lot of life experience.
oh, he's not a life coach.
He's good.
We know. Kane is neither a life coach nor a fucking powerlifting coach. Cricket.
Are you sure?
Sorry? Are you sure? I'm loving the stories though from you guys.
Yeah, it's
just
good.
the best. Oh man, that's bloody awesome. And then you spoke. We're gonna jump back a little bit about metabolic conditioning as well.
Metabolic adaptation.
Metabolic adaptation.
Yeah, so that's kind of the concept I was talking about in terms of like, there's a few factors to go on. Like if you're in a calorie deficit, so NEAT decreases, like in terms of just incidental movement is going to decrease.
Just the listeners, neat. That's
Non-exercise
yeah.
activity thermogenesis. Yeah, so just incidental movement, basically,
Yeah.
like unplanned exercise, like just moving around day-to-day activities, like mowing your lawn is technically neat, like those kind of movements. But like I definitely think of it more in terms of that fidgeting kind of thing, because that's really what changes in terms of how many calories you're having.
Really?
Yeah, it's a massive difference. Like there's one study that comes to mind where they gave people a 1,000 calorie surplus, and at the extreme end, somebody had their energy expenditure increased by 800 calories, which left them in an actual 200 calorie surplus. At the lower end,
They
somebody...
literally moved more because they had more food.
100%, yeah, massive difference. Like these are the people you think of in terms of the hard gainers, so to speak, ectomorphs, whatever you'd want to call them. It's partly
The
like
three of
this
us
is,
here.
This is one factor. Like people literally fidget more. Like when they get in a calorie surplus. So even though they are in a calorie surplus, and in the metabolic adaptation in either direction, like the metabolic adaptation is never going to actually outweigh the increase in food. It can make a pretty big difference in terms of actually decreasing the size of the calorie surplus. Like at the bottom end of that spectrum in that study of 1,000 added calories, somebody's increased by 200. So like that's the low end of it. So it makes a pretty big difference. And like that goes the other way in terms of like when people go on a calorie deficit, some people, their total daily energy expenditure is going to adjust more, as in like maybe their basal metabolic rate will slow down a little bit more in adaptation to it. Maybe their NEAT's going to drop off a little bit. Maybe they're going to be a little bit more efficient when they're exercising in terms of burning fewer calories and stuff like that. Which is why part of the reason beyond hunger and stuff like that, why dieting might be slightly harder for some people. Like it still comes down to calories in, calories out. It's just what you eat actually plays a role in how many calories you're burning.
I'm just still like a little bit dumbfounded. Like never knew that you're in a calorie surplus. You're going to fidget more.
Yeah, it's a massive thing, and like that's why I use the example of bodybuilders. Like if you follow some like influencers in the bodybuilding space,
Like Aidan.
I'd never get that shredded. Like I never get shredded to the point that like it affects me. But like if you watch some of them in the off season, like some of the really energetic people, and you watch them when they're like a couple of weeks out from a comp, you'll see like a night and day difference in terms of how they're moving throughout the video. The classic example people talk about is like literally blinking slower, as in they blink slower. Like you can see it in videos. If you try and look for it, you'll see people like blinking slower when they're on really low calories. Yeah, it's just one of those adaptations. Like it's stuff you can't really control it. Like you could control daily steps, like you can track that and stuff like that. But it's the kind of stuff that you can't track that it makes a big difference for.
Holy shit! I don't even. That's amazing. Human body is incredible.
Yeah, it's insane. And like it is like, I know people talk about like starvation mode and stuff like that, and I really hate that terminology, but it is just like the body adapting in a certain way to account for the fact that you have less calories coming in. It's just conserving energy a little bit. Like, as I said, it never outweighs the size of the deficit. Another example I suppose I should talk about is like with female athletes and stuff like that. Like sometimes they might lose their period, which is a sign that like fertility is no longer happening, like ovulation is no longer happening. That's a way to conserve calories. And like when that happens, like there's also other stuff going on, like their bone mineral density is probably going to be depleting a little bit and stuff like that, because that requires calories, that requires minerals, that requires like protein as well. So like on really low calories, it's just another way of conserving energy.
Wow. The body's fucking insane.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So
like,
when you're in a deficit, it'd be super important to be tracking at least your general daily activity that you can, like your steps, for instance.
to a certain degree, like that's one reason why heaps of bodybuilding coaches get their clients to do it. Like, for me, for example, like if I go into a calorie deficit, I don't track that stuff. Like I just like, but like if it's like, if you wanted to be as consistent as possible with everything, it definitely makes sense to do that. Beyond the fact that like if you're tracking your steps, you're probably going to walk more. You're probably going to get more steps in as well, for sure.
Yep.
Fuck, man. That's actually kind of like blowing my mind. I'm just still like, more food, you're going to fidget more.
Yeah. Yeah, pay attention to yourself as well. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a
like,
fucking huge surplus right now.
Yeah,
I think.
As someone myself, like I probably spend like 8 months of the year in a calorie surplus and like 3, maybe 4 in a calorie deficit. Like I notice the difference myself, like for sure.
What about that 1 month?
Just maintenance,
Deficit.
Oh, right.
Christmas and stuff like that. Like it's
What
like,
did he say?
I think he said deficit, but I don't know what that. Are we talking about you? Did you mean a client? I think he meant a client.
You're not allowed deficit.
not allowed deficit.
Did you? He
It's
must have
happening.
forgotten about that conversation at 125s.
It's happening.
Send us an email, bro. We'll have a look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you my nutrition plan.
Yeah,
I'll let
please.
you look over it and
Yeah.
give me some feedback.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
give you. Oh, correct.
Well, would you like to?
Add some sandwiches
I mean,
into
Jason, we got him up. Would you like to tell Aidan the advice you gave Jason?
Yes, eat a pizza a day. An extra pizza per day. Within context being, Jason said he had a very tight budget.
Yeah.
So
Those $5 Domino's pizzas.
that due to type, no, I went Woolies $2 ones.
Oh yeah, are they $2? I think they're $3. $2.
Thereabouts.
Yeah, the cheap part. Yeah. Yeah, I
So
used a few
due
of them
to
during uni.
budget constraints and lack of mass, what we suggested, which I think is the best suggestion, 1 pizza per day. He grew. He grew gloriously.
Yes, and
We stayed within the budget.
yes, we did. And just so we'll quickly jump across Jason. How did you feel? We got a shake of the head. I think he said great.
He felt great because he was
Yeah, terrible.
bigger.
Yeah.
But
Were you bigger?
yeah.
My
Yes.
shits were bigger,
Yeah.
my gut was bigger, that's about it.
Yeah, buddy.
Or
Big is
I
bigger.
heard bigger.
Big is bigger.
More is more.
More is more, and we need more to be more.
Yes, and the correct amount of more is always more.
Yes.
Really like how we harmonise that. Did you see that? We're in
Yeah, but if you need some help with your plan, mate, I'll put together a little sandwich, something for you.
Yeah,
Get you
I'll
sorted.
swing it through.
Yeah, flick it through to you,
That's not where it is. What's on next for the cards with you, my man?
I honestly, like, I've been talking about this with a lot of people, but like, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now. Like,
Sick.
yeah, like I've come from a history of seeing more clients than I want to, just in previous jobs, and like I'm at the point where I'm mostly booked down now. Like I am taking on more clients, but like it is most like I'm seeing as many per week as I want to,
Yeah.
and I've like put a cap there, and I think it's a really good point. I don't really want to expand past that. I might take on another dietitian, but it's got to be the right person. It's got to be someone who thinks relatively similar to me, and I can hopefully fill out their books as well. But at the moment, yeah, just keeping doing what I'm doing. I'm seeing like 30 people per week at the moment. At some stage, I'm going to want to drop that down to about 20 people per week and just spend more time on content, whether it's like podcasts, Instagram, even like starting my own podcast. I don't think I'm going to do it, but like people have been like pitching that idea for ages.
It's pretty easy. You buy it. We got a Yeti mic you can have.
Yeah, we bought a microphone, and then we
Talk
found
into it.
the best advice I can give you is
Yeah.
just find a Jason and Niall.
Find a Jason and
We'll
Niall.
just get Jason and Noel.
Yeah, like
New career. Fill out your books. Yeah.
yeah, done.
Fill out their books for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
but
yeah, I
like,
don't know.
you just need a Niall and a Jason, and then you're set. Mainly a Jason though, because Niall sometimes. Well, he's just on the ball,
I
off
didn't
the
even
ball.
realise he was still here.
No, he's still there.
Real quiet,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just that his car's breakdown. Cars is multiple. Love you, Niall. But are you ready?
Yes, go for it.
10 questions.
And you don't know these questions.
No.
Now these are super quick answer, rapid fire. First thing that comes to your head.
Well, the first one's a demonstration.
The first one is a demonstration. I just remembered.
Demonstration, Jesus.
You're
Yeah.
going to try and do something. Or you're going to do something.
But the
Yeah.
Hopefully
original
you
question
do
is,
something.
are you ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, here we
Always.
go. Here we go, son.
Are you ready?
I'm not ready.
Can you fit your fist inside your mouth? And I would like to see you try.
I'll move my mouth real close to the microphone.
Nah,
Nah, not
that's-
even close.
That's a big fist, though.
I've got girl hands. I've got girl hands. They're
Can you
not
fit
big.
Brandon's fist in your mouth?
Let's try.
No. I literally just like,
No, no chance.
Maybe I should change it. Can you fit Brandon's fist in your mouth? That'd be fun. You're going to fist everyone.
we went there. Yeah.
What's your biggest regret?
Oh, biggest regret. Oh, I don't want to say this, but like staying in my old job a little bit longer than I should have. Like I'm a very easy person to keep happy, and I wasn't happy for the last 6 months. So I was like, I probably should have left 6 months sooner. Yeah.
Who's the most attractive person in the world?
Oh, Jesus. Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime.
Good answer.
Nice.
Great answer.
Where will you be, and what will you be doing 10 years from now?
I don't know if I'm going to do it now that I'm making decent money as a dietitian, but I've always wanted to open a Zambrero, like the Mexican
Oh, really?
franchise. Yeah, that's been a dream of mine. Like, so like the amount of money is like $450,000 it costs to start one up. So I'm like, I'm working towards that goal. And like, if I don't want to do it by the time I get there, I'm like, I've got money to do other stuff. Like, so
Zambero.
yeah, because like, so I'm from Wagga Wagga, like that's where I studied at uni, and there was a franchise there, like, and I saw their financials, and they're making like 30% return, 30% ROI, so per year, 30% of what they put down initially, which is really good, like, return on investment. So I was like, that's sick. I found out later that like that was like the best performing one in the state. Like
Yeah.
that like started the spark. Like I was like, because I saw the owner was just like flashing cash around like crazy. I was like, where's this money coming from? And I also like their food. So.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Selling some tacos.
Yeah.
What day's your bin day, bro?
This is embarrassing. I live in an apartment, so I don't know. So like we just put it down to the bottom, and it's just apartment building. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Maybe you should look into that. If you can only squat or deadlift for the rest of your life, which one are you choosing?
Deadlift. Yeah, easy. I've never enjoyed like I had like a brief run before my last comp when I first
You
got into
run?
wraps.
No.
no, like a brief
Okay, so
brief couple of weeks
Worried.
just as I
Trying
got
to
into
work out what
wraps,
you're
and I was
running
like,
from.
you know what, squats actually feel alright. Like I'm enjoying this, and it was the first time in like however long I've been training for that I enjoyed squats. Whereas deadlifts, always loved them. Yeah.
They
what
love
are you
too.
most thankful for?
Freedom. So I had a pretty strict childhood, and the moment I left home, I was like, I can do what I want. Like, how good is this?
I call that having ultimate adult moments.
Yeah.
So you go like shopping, and then you're like, I can buy
Whatever.
2 lots of ice blocks if I want, and the expensive ones.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
What's on your bucket list?
Oh, I want to go to America. So I was planning to go to America before Corona hit.
Fucking Corona.
Yeah. But that's on the bucket list. I want to see like NBA games in person. Yeah.
Now, what did you want to do when you were younger? When you were like a little Aidan,
Oh, damn.
or a junior burger?
I don't know. the only thing that comes to mind is like professional basketball. Yeah, that would have been sick.
What's your greatest fear?
You've stumped me. Peas. I hate peas.
Really?
Yeah,
Peas?
being force fed peas, disgusting. I don't even chew them. I swallow them whole. I can't. The texture gets me. Yeah.
Peas?
I love all, like, I don't love, but like I'm okay with all other vegetables, but peas, sickening.
No good, eh?
Yeah.
What
Feel
about a mushy pea on a pie?
Nah, sickening. Terrible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Weird. That's all right. Everyone's got a thing.
I'm peas, okay, yeah. Is that the questions?
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
Oh, that's 10.
Yeah, that's
oh,
nice.
wow. Okay, I have one more.
Yeah.
Why is it that bodybuilders seem to be really good at basketball?
The Joey Cantlin stories.
I just feel, why?
What type of bodybuilders?
Joey Cantlin.
Joey Cantlin. Well, according to Brandon, Joey Cantlin is good at basketball because he wears basketball jerseys in the gym a lot.
Yeah, like I figure, like you see,
Correlation.
There must be a correlation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's
Oh,
the only
wow.
thing I can think of. I can't think of anything else.
Stumped me.
Stumped.
Where can people find you, bro?
So on Instagram, Aidan the dietitian with underscores between Aidan _the _dietitian, and my blog idealnutrition.com.au. So if anybody screenshots the podcast, puts it up on their story, tags me, tags the platform podcast, just does that basically, you go in the draw to potentially win a free consult with me.
Awesome, man. We'll throw them up in the show notes. And as you said, you are taking on, at the moment, new
Yeah,
clients.
still taking clients, yeah.
If anyone wants to get in contact, you can reach out. Man, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That was fucking really informative. There was a lot of good information there that, I mean, I'm still stumped on a few of those things. But we appreciate your time. We'd love to get you back on soon. And all the best for the future, bro.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Thank you. And we got to clap on 3. 1, 2, 3.
They're so well, like, good.
So well good.
Yeah. You know? You know what I mean?